My name is Onve Eric Msute, a faculty member in the Department of Mass Communication, Skyline University, Nigeria. And today, we'll be discussing research process and procedure. This is fundamental because research is fundamental in scholarship, and most of the time, both student and faculty members find it very difficult in conducting a proper research. And that is why we're here to discuss some of the process and procedures that are involved in conducting a proper research. So, what is research? Research is a systematic process of ascertaining answers to a particular problem. Now, we are going to look at the steps that are involved in conducting a research. Now, step number one, selecting a research topic. This is very important, and selecting a research is a concern for many beginning researchers, especially those writing term papers, theses, and dissertations. The problem is to know where to start. Fortunately, there are virtually unlimited sources available in sourcing for a research topic. Number one, academic journals, magazines, research summaries or abstract, everyday situation, data archives, and internet. So all these things are sources of research. You can select a topic. For academic journals, you go through them and you get viable research topics, magazine, and all of that. Now, step two, determination of topic relevance. After selecting a topic, you need to know whether the topic is researchable or not. And how do you determine whether a topic is researchable or not? You need to answer the 8 basic questions identified by Wimmer and Dominic. And number one, is the topic too narrow or too broad? Number two, can the problem be investigated? 3, can the data be analyzed? 4, is the problem significant? 5, can the result of the study be generalized? And 6, what cost and time are involved in the study? 7, is the planned approach appropriate to the study? And 8, is there any potential harm to the subject? After you identify a research topic, you need to answer the 8 basic questions identified by Wimmer and Dominic so that you will know that you are able or you are ready to embark on that research project. So the next step is the background to the study. As a researcher, you need to articulate your background to the study. And it is called background to the study, not background of the study. You need to understand the appropriate preposition that you will use here. When you say of refers to connection or something that is relating to something. But when you say to, it simply refers to what? Direction. And remember that in the background to the study, you are going to direct your readers on how do you want to achieve this study? How do you want to embark on this study? What are the things that you need to know for you to be able to establish this study? So it is background to the study. So background to the study is always written so that it will arrest the attention of the reader. And your background to the study should be very convincing so that readers can believe that what you are about to undertake, you are conversant with it. And basically, background to the study is written in 2 perspectives. Number one is either general to specific or specific to general. And when I talk of general to specific, here you can start your study by looking at a general perspective on the subject matter, or you look at the issue from a broader perspective. Then you narrow it down to the scope of your study. Or you can decide to start from specific to general, where you start from the scope of your study and then you go to a broader perspective. So these are 2 traditional ways by which a researcher should be able to establish or articulate a background to the study. All right, step 4 is problem statement and not statement of the problem. So, in articulating or establishing your problem statement, the researcher needs to have access to literature, because you are going to identify a missing gap in the literature, which at the end you are going to fill up the gap. So if you expose yourself to the literature, you can be able to identify the lacuna in the literature, and that will automatically constitute the problem statement. Step 5 is aim of the study. And please don't make a mistake of adding S to aims, because in any research study, you have one aim, which is going to be a broad aim that you attempt to achieve in the study. So it is based on this broad aim that you carve out your objectives of the study. So the aim is the purpose of the study. So in conducting a research, you must have a broad aim that you want to achieve. Here you emphasize on what is going to be accomplished, not how it is going to be accomplished. For example, if a researcher is interested in doing a comparative analysis of maybe hate speech in the 2015 and 2019 general election, the aim of the study could be that the research is to analyze the manifestation of hate speech in the 2015 and 2019 general election. So basically, sometimes the aim is taken from the topic of the research. Step 6 is the objectives of the study. And when we talk about the objectives of the study, is what the study said to achieve. What do you want to achieve or to actualize in the context of conducting that particular study? Then this basically becomes the objectives of the study. And the objectives, they are specific. In the case of aim of the study, they are general, but in the case of objective, they are specific, and they come in number. It could be 1, 2, 3, depending on how many objectives that you want to establish in the course of conducting that research. And in step 7, we have what is called research questions. And what are research questions? Research questions are templates that guide you to achieve the objectives of the study. They are the basic tools of scientific inquiry. They guide you as a researcher. They serve as a template that you can be able to follow at the end, so that you can be able to achieve the essence of the study. So basically, you normally turn your objectives to research questions. It is the objectives of the study that are turned to research questions. The objectives, they comes in statement, while research question comes in form of what? And questions. So aside the research question, step 8 is the significance of the study. And when we talk of significance of the study, it is simply the importance of the study. Remember that each study you are going to conduct, people should be able to benefit from that study. And basically, significance is measured at 5 levels. 1, significance to the methodology. As a researcher, to what extent is that study significance in terms of methodology? Remember that there are different methodological approaches. Why do you choose to maybe settle down with maybe quantitative or qualitative approach or research method? So you must establish why is the study significance to that particular method. The second one is significance to theoretical framework. There are 1001 theories. Why do you decide to select a particular theory that will serve the goal of your study? The next one is significance to you as a researcher. Any research that you are conducting, you must bear it in mind that that research must have significance to you as a researcher. What are you going to benefit from the outcome of the research? And 4 is significance to the body of knowledge. Remember that you are not the first person that's diverging a particular area. So many research has been conducted in that area. So your own research is going to be a kind of add-up to the already existing literature in the area. So you must make sure that your research is going to contribute to the existing body of knowledge in that particular area. And next is significance to what? To the society. Ask yourself, is the society going to benefit from the outcome of the study? If no, then this topic is not worth investigating. Now, the step 9 is the scope of the study. Now, when we talk of the scope, is the area that you are going to cover in your study. And there are different parameters that we use in measuring the scope of a study. Number 1 is the scope of a study within the time frame. From which time? Remember that most students, they have a timeline. Maybe in a semester you have 4 months and you are going to conduct a study within the time frame. So you must know that the particular topic you are going to work on should be time bound, so that from so time you can be able to finish your study. Now you also articulate or establish your scope of study within the geographical scope. Which geographical area is going to constitute the scope of your study? You must clearly establish this. Number 3 is the demographical scope. Who is going to be part of the study? Are individuals involved in the study? You need to state this. And then theoretical scope. There are so many theories. What do you say on this theory? Maybe it's perhaps because the theory constitutes part of the study. And lastly is what? Methodological scope. You need to also establish why are you adapting a particular method that could serve as this scope of the study. And in step 10, we have limitation to the study, and not limitation of the study, limitation to the study. Now in limitation, these are the challenges that you are going to encounter in the course of conducting that particular study. And remember that transportation, money, time, they are not part of limitation, because for you to be able to start investigating that problem, you have already answered the 8 questions identified by Wilma and Dominic in the previous slide that we have discussed. So, and number 6 question on that 8 questions says, what cost and time are involved in the study? So you have already addressed this question. So don't come and tell your supervisors at the end that I don't have time, I don't have money, I don't have maybe resources to embark on this study. You have already answered this question. So you should be able to conduct the study. And when we talk of limitation, basically limitation should be originated from theoretical and methodological scope, because there is no single theory that has no shortcoming. There are so many theory based. Sometimes you tend to see that some of these theory have disadvantages. So you can use these shortcomings as limitation to the study. Also, in terms of methodological approach, each research method you pick, it has some strengths and weaknesses. So some of the weaknesses of those methodology will also constitute limitation to the study. Step 10 is operational definition of key terms. As a researcher, you need to focus on some of these concepts. You need to explain them. And this concept should be operationalized or should be defined within the context of the study. You need a working definition based on your own understanding on how these terms can be applied within the context of your study. Here, we don't use dictionary meaning or scholarly definition. Here, you are going to have a working definition on how those terms are being used or applied in the context of your own study. And in step 11 is the literature review. And basically, when we talk of literature review, it simply entails consulting previous studies that has direct bearing to the subject matter. Here, you are going to fall back on the existing literature so that you can be able to analyze the current study. And literature review is basically divided into 3 components. First is conceptual review. At the level of conceptual review, you are going to look at some of the concepts that are related to your study. Then you define them or you examine them within the context of scholarly arguments. Then the next is empirical review. Here you are going to focus basically on some of the related literature that are being conducted in that particular area. Here you look at studies that have been done by previous researchers in the area. What method do they use? What theory do they adopt in their previous studies? What are the basic findings? What are their conclusions and recommendations? Then lastly is the theoretical framework. Now, you need to anchor your study within the theoretical lens of a particular theory, because theory helps you to predict the outcome of the studies. It helps you to explain complex phenomena. So as a researcher, you must locate your study within the context of theoretical framework. You review a theory, and in dealing with theories, you have to look at first the proponents of the theory. The theory is established by who and in which year. Now, after that, you look at the basic assumption of the theory. What is the theory saying? And then you look at the strength of the theory and then the weaknesses of the theory. Then you establish a nexus, a connection, a link between the theory and the study. Now, academic sources depend on research and publication, and that is Philip Zimbardo. I'm sure you have learned one or two things in this discussion. First, we look at research process and procedures, and we look at some of the steps that are involved by looking at selecting a research topic, establishing a background to the study, the problem statement, the objectives of the study, the research question, significance of the study, scope of the study, limitations to the study, operational definition of key terms, and literature review. Thank you very much.